there, it's Joy Foster, founder of Tech Pixies, and I am the host of the Sparkle and Thrive podcast, and I'm really excited for our new series all about quantum leaps. And in this series, I'm going to be interviewing incredible women who've gone through our program, and I'll be talking to them about some of the quantum leaps that they've made in their personal lives and in their business lives. So welcome, Judy. I'm so excited to have you here as our very first quantum leap guest. We'd love to hear your story. Can you tell us a little bit more about where you were before you joined Tech Pixies and what you were hoping to accomplish and where you are now?
Gosh, yes. Thank you, first of all, Joy, for inviting me on. It's amazing. So where I was pre-Tech Pixies, I had been for a year before Tech Pixies, a stay-at-home mum. I'd basically given up a very, very long standing career in digital marketing and project management. I just felt it was kind of like time to, my kids are still young, I got to kind of like, I guess, spend that time with them while they're still young, and do all those kind of mom things that I wanted to do. So I was kind of doing that, and then I saw this advert for Tech Pixies go up, and I thought, that sounds really interesting. And I'm thinking also about the future, thinking, after this kind of next few years, what am I going to do? How am I going to kind of get back on track, get my career back on track? So then, I took the Tech Pixies, first of all, the taster, and you were just like, your energy was just amazing on that, and I signed up immediately. And it kind of helped me work through some things, I guess, in my mind, which was like, where do I go from here? I had a couple of business ideas that I wanted to explore. I also had a proposition from another founder for this brilliant online marketplace platform idea. And during the course of Tech Pixies, that's kind of like when I made the decision to be an entrepreneur and join this co-founder, and and that's kind of like where I'm at right now.
Oh, Judy, it gives me chills listening to this. I love it. And, one of the things that we run is always a free training, a taster, a boot camp, some way for people to experience what it's like to learn from Tech Pixies before they make the leap into our membership, which is now the Social Media Mastery membership. And we have both the group coaching program and the self-paced version of it, which is also the first time we've ever offered a self-paced version, but you were on the group coaching version of that program. And what we talk about now in our Quantum Leap free training series, which is just 3 little videos, but we talk about activating the heart. What would you love? And then taking action, activating you, and then activating the mind. And you touched on all 3 of those. You got into this, what would I love to do? Well, I'd love to work on this incredible opportunity. And so you've made the decision, right? Taking a quantum leap starts with a decision, the power of that decision to move you forwards. I'm going to make this decision to move forwards, and I'm going to have faith that the action I'm taking is going to give me the results that I want, right? And that I'm going to move towards that thing that I would love. So I love that. And I also completely, one of the things we teach is once you make the decision to move forwards, the resources that you need and the people that you need and the help that you need and the connections that you need, they start to show up because you've made the decision to move forwards and you're taking action in faith that the thing that you believe is going to happen is actually going to happen. So I just want to reward you for and acknowledge you and really just give you a huge shout out for really leaning into those steps, because that's why you're moving in this incredible direction. So let's talk about quantum leaps. Have you experienced any personally or professionally in the last few months or since you've been connected to the Tech Pixies world?
Yes, well, I guess let me explain that I am a huge introvert. I'm about as introverted as you can get on the kind of like, if you take the 16 personalities test, it gives you a scale between 0 and 100, and I'm about 87% introverted. So the people probably listening to this and see my social media posts and think she's not an introvert. There's no way, she's putting herself out there. But yeah, it was a massive quantum leap for me. It was just getting over that and having the mindset to kind of like put myself out there and be vulnerable. So that's a really huge one. And in fact, like actually being invited to do this podcast is another amazing like quantum leap for me. Initially, when I received the invite, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, and I'd love to do it. But then like part of my brain, I think they call it the amygdala, where it's like the fight and flight response, was like, oh no, you can't put yourself out there. But in my heart, I kind of like knew that I wanted to take this step. I really wanted to do it for Tech Pixies as well, amazing community of women. And I can't think of a better place, I guess, to do the very first podcast with you, Joy, and for the Tech Pixies.
Well, and we call those ants, right? The automatic negative thoughts that creep in when you go to put yourself out there, to get yourself out of your comfort zone. I love that you just said you're an introvert. I know there's people who are listening to this that totally 100% identify. And one of the things that we talk about when we talk about the secrets, the social media secrets to a quantum leap, one of them is that your mission has to be greater than your fear of putting yourself out there. This mission you have to start talking about this amazing direction you're moving in, the change that's going to create in people's lives, all that stuff has to be more important than your fear of putting yourself out there. And we talk about in our superhero boot camp, which we ran last year as an entry to our program, we talk about taking off the invisibility cloak. Everyone's got the superpower of the invisibility cloak, but if you want to have an impact in this world, you've got to be brave and you've got to take that invisibility cloak off. And I think huge props to you for showing up for this podcast, for taking off that invisibility cloak on social media and moving forwards with your mission, which is much more important than any fear you have around moving forwards. So let's talk about some of the failures that you've experienced along the way, or how you perceive failure. One of the other aspects of the quantum leap is that you have to be okay with failing. And we like to say, for all I have learned at Tech Pixies, and I know you believe in that strongly. So let's talk about that and why you believe in that angle of failure.
So I guess it's really hard for me to kind of pinpoint any failures, because like you said, I kind of like view them all as lessons. And I also think that, it's not that you failed, you just haven't found the right way to do it yet. So it is just trying new things and seeing what works. I guess if I was to say, give one example of where I might have failed was I applied for an Innovate UK Smart Grant at the end of last year, and I didn't get it. And I was way off not getting it as well. But, I took that chance. It was the first time I've ever done anything like that. I didn't have any guidance. Nobody that I knew had been through that process that I could ask or get advice from either. So I had to be like the first one, I guess, and I just had to go for it. I put a lot of time into it, but yeah, I wasn't successful. But now I know those lessons and I've got the feedback, and I know where I need to do make changes in order to kind of like, if I want to try it again and move forward.
That is such a great point. And we just did a series on raising investment and, whether or not you're ready. And one of the things we talked about were grants as well, and going for grants and understanding how you can get them. And it is a minefield, especially if you've never done it. And there's a lot of competition, right? When you go for a grant, there's a huge amount of competition. And most of the time, if they've never heard of you before and you've never applied before, it takes a while for, that relationship to build up, but also to understand what they need. I mean, we've learned that, especially with grant applications, like you got to be on the phone with the grant people, almost bugging them every day and saying, okay, I've changed this part. We have a look. I've changed. And it's almost like before the grant goes in, you've really had that dialogue with them. And that's something that you only learn by trying and not getting it the first time and then taking that feedback on. And I've so been there, and I know what that's like, Judy. And I now have someone on my team who does those applications. And that was the one trick I told her, like, whatever you do, you've got to get feedback the whole way through from them. And because these, especially with grants, it has to be shaped to meet their certain end. And you don't want to change what you're doing to just for the grant, but sometimes you have to figure out how to word what you're doing so that it meets the grant criteria. And it's a tricky road. So I love, though, that how you took that feedback on and now you know what to do for the next time around. That's a really big deal. So you've touched a little bit on how Tech Pixies helped you to become more visible on social media. And maybe you could expand a little bit more on your experience in the group coaching program. And, I mean, you didn't have the option of doing a self-paced program at that time, but I think knowing what you know now, would you have still made the same decision to do the group coaching program, even though it was more of an investment of time and money?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I kind of like touched upon, the group coaching was kind of like what helped me work through some of the thoughts that I had going on in my head and get some clarity on which direction to go in. And I think if I hadn't had the coaching side of this program, then I don't think I would be where I am today, because it's all about not just learning the mechanics of posting social media, it's building the confidence, and that's really key. That's something that you really need. You kind of like really need to get over yourself in order to get out there and actually utilize social media to its maximum effect, really.
Absolutely. Well, and I love how you put that. So there's so many things I could talk about, but what's your favorite social media network that you're using right now and where it's pushing out of your comfort zone the most to get onto?
I would have to say the one I use most is LinkedIn. And I don't know, actually, it's one that people really sort of shy away from, because it kind of like impacts on, what you perceive other people perceiving of you from a professional kind of point of view. But I actually find that LinkedIn is the easiest one for me to post on and kind of like, I guess, talk about myself in terms of what I'm doing professionally. I'm also on Instagram, but Instagram I use for more kind of like a personal kind of approach to things.
Do you think it was worth it understanding how all the networks worked in order to really hone in on the ones that you're going to be using?
Yes, I think so, definitely, because you kind of, well, as an entrepreneur, if you took it from that kind of point of view, you really need to know your target audience, your customer personas, where they're going to be on social media, what platforms are they going to be on. So from a business sense, you have to know, I guess, the kind of demographics for each one of those. So you can decide where to be as well.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why we still teach all of them, is to help people really get a very solid understanding of how they work so that they can work out which ones work best for them. And you also get that multiple skill that, if you don't go into business as an entrepreneur for your own business, you can use those skills to set yourself up to work for somebody else, and you can navigate which networks they need to use for them. All right, so you have just been nominated for some big awards. Tell us about the biggest one that you're in at the moment, and how that's going, and what that's all about, and why you've been nominated for it.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I was nominated for a few different awards from the Women in Tech Excellence Awards, and I've actually made finalist for Entrepreneur of the Year.
That's so cool. Now that if that's not a quantum leap, I don't know what is, from I have a business idea to I'm now Entrepreneur of the Year nominated as a finalist in this award, in a Women in Tech award. This is incredible. So why have you made the finalists? Tell us what this award is, not just what the award's about, but why you're a finalist.
So the criteria for finalists was basically you to demonstrate the success that you've made to date with your business idea and the potential for success. So I guess from the judges' point of view, they see our platform, my idea for SweatLink, to be one that has huge potential for making a big impact. So I think that's why I was shortlisted. And when I found out, to be honest, I was absolutely shocked because I really did not think that I would, well, first of all, I didn't actually think I would be ever nominated by somebody. So that was a surprise, and I thought, well, that's great. But then when I got the announcement that I was made finalist as well, that was just amazing. I was just like in utter shock, really.
That is the nicest compliment someone can make, to nominate you for an award like that. So many awards you have to nominate yourself because otherwise you're not going to get yourself forwards, right? But I remember in 2018, somebody who had come and basically done a podcast with us. It was before we were doing podcasts, but she'd come and done a guest speaking event for us. She nominated me for in Tech Pixies for Startup of the Year for London and the Southeast, which was like a really big, deal for the Institute of Directors. And I remember when I got the email saying I was nominated and that this person had nominated me, I was really, I was like you, just so shocked and so thankful that someone took the time. And we ended up, her name was Julia Eyeball, and we ended up winning for all of London and the South, and that was just like to know that I won the award for London and the South for Startup of the Year for the IOD was a big deal. And, I think being nominated for these awards and making the finalists cut, they're not easy to, there's hundreds of people who are nominated. So to get to the shortlisting phase, and then I went into the thing for the whole country. And I was the only woman in the awards for the whole country, and another person, a guy, won because it was me versus like 5 guys. But what was really cool was just being really proud of being the one woman in the room. I was the one woman in the room up for this award, and I was really proud of that. And it was like saying to other women, even though I didn't win, I made it to the finals for the country, and this is what's possible for women. Like, we can do this. We can be. And so I think it's so powerful what you're doing. So tell us, are you allowed to tell us about the business idea? And is that something that you can give us more information about? I know people listening want to know what this is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's an online marketplace that we're building for work for equity opportunities. And the reason or the inspiration behind it really is, I guess, we feel that everybody should have, no matter what your background, what advantages you have or don't have, that everyone has the right to kind of like work towards financial security. So the platform essentially seeks to democratize the access to talent for entrepreneurs and for professionals or talented individuals. It gives them the opportunity to invest in startup equity without financial capital, just using what we call sweat equity, which is essentially working for equity.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I just love what you're doing. So, Judy, it's just incredible to hear your story. It's incredible to walk through this quantum leap. And, I hope you have many more quantum leaps to come. But it is absolutely amazing to me that, before Tech Pixies, you were thinking, what do I do? I'm a mom. I want to keep my career moving forwards, but you didn't. In a million years, did you dream that this would be where you would be now?
No, I did not. Absolutely not. No. Yeah, I mean, in the past year, I've kind of like just learned so much about entrepreneurship, and Tech Pixies has been a huge part of that. And the community, the support that I've received as well. As an entrepreneur and a new entrepreneur, it's so important to be in a community where people are going through the same things that you are. And yeah, I never in a million years would have thought that this is the road that I would have taken.
Well, that's what's fun too, right? And I think that's where community, and I think that's where learning, becoming a lifelong learner, getting into a tribe of people, connecting with people that are like-minded, that want to move forwards with you. And we've got lots of people at Tech Pixies. It's a real mix. We've got people who are entrepreneurs. We have people who are, wanting to return to work, have a salaried job. They have been out of the workforce for a while, maybe a decade, 2 decades, and just want to go back into a job, and don't want to start up their own thing. We've got people who want to start up as social media managers. There's a real mix and depth of breadth. And I think that also gives a lot of perspective and a lot of opportunities. And you see what other people are doing, and you get excited about the things that other people are doing, and you support them on their journey too. So I just want to, first of all, thank you for being a wonderful part of our community. I know you've made some great friendships, and connected with the coaches. Just so thankful. Even though you are an introvert, that you have put yourself out there. That's really an incredible part of your journey, that you've faced that fear and done it anyway. And I want to just thank you for doing that, because the contribution you've made to our community as a result is such a gift. And I'm so thankful that you're part of it, and that you took the time today to speak to me. Is there any kind of final message in clever words, or any wise words of wisdom that you'd like to leave with someone who might be on the fence about whether or not joining the social media mastery membership is for them or not?
Yeah, just do it. I would say just do it, because the investment in yourself is just so worth it.
I love that. Well, I really appreciate it, and I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And I know this is going to inspire a lot of people.
Thank you, Joy.